we're here with John Vincent. How are you doing, John?
Good, Allie. How are you?
I'm doing great. So we wanted to take a step back and reintroduce you to your audience. This is a new venture for you, your podcast. So you could tell us more about yourself and what inspired you to start this podcast.
Well, I was inspired by you guys as a whole. Honestly, we talked about bringing what I want, some positivity, to a podcast. So I have you all to thank for that. And I think it's a great idea. I hope it comes across and it stays this way, that positivity is just going to be forced on this show. And I just want to hear other people's good things that are happening in their life, or good things that they believe in. That's just what I want to hear.
And why positivity? I think that's an important thing to talk about. Maybe you can tell us more about what brought you to this path that you're on now, where you want to bring that to your audience.
Just from feeling, and trying to hide my feelings of pain from being bullied as a child and from suffering with mental illness. I think the one thing we mostly do is we are fearful. And when we are fearful, we act out with anger, with jealousy, with envy, with whatever. And that's all in the mind. And when I saw that doesn't make us happy. We might have temporary moments of happiness with that, with material things or things of that nature. But in the end, the true happiness comes from within. And that's just being at peace with yourself, so then you can be at peace with everyone. And once you have that and you understand that that's what drives us, I want everybody to be happy. I want everybody to be peaceful.
It's not the easiest thing for people to do, to talk about their feelings and talk about what's on their mind. And you seem to do it with such grace and dignity and such openness. I think it would be important for people to know how you got here. There was a path that brought you here. And can you tell us more about that path?
Yeah, I mean, that's the person I hated the most from the age of 15 to 45, and I'm 48 now, was myself. I hated myself. It's not easy living with somebody you hate. It's a lot harder when that person you hate is you. And I didn't like seeing myself in the mirror. I mean, I'm a big guy. Sometimes I gain weight. It wasn't that. It wasn't me being heavy, even though that at times my insecurity, that would come out many times with that. I should say not at times, many times. But it was that feeling of just not liking me. Like I looked in the mirror and I was like an alien. I was like, I don't belong in my own skin. It was a weird feeling. And, when you had to study and learn about OCD, because I'm diagnosed with OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, obviously, depression, major depressive disorder, and anxiety, with also, I've been told, possibly hypermanic at times. So I studied a lot about mental illness and how it affects you, what it does. It makes you question who you are, everything about yourself, whatever. How do you defeat that again? And that's, I think, with our inner being. And when you told me, like, why do I want to do this goodness? Why? Because when again, I have to go into it. Sorry, getting deep here, but I attempted suicide in February of 18, and then I started ketamine treatments a year later, which helped me a lot. But the biggest thing that helped me were these people in my lives teaching me things about love and about kindness. And I knew everything I did good in my life came from love, and everything that I did bad in my life came from anger, came from jealousy, came from resentment, came from fear, because all those things aren't real. The only real feeling in life is fear and love, and I was fearful. That's it. I was fearful.
Talking about your mental illness and your diagnoses, is that something that's helpful for you? Was it helpful for you to have these conversations with your health professionals to find out what it is that is affecting your mood? Is that something that has helped you move past that fear you talk about?
It's very helpful. Very helpful, and it still is to this day. But the biggest thing that changed for me was finding and realizing in that book, The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle was a big factor. Ketamine helping me was a big factor. But truly, the number one reason when you get to the point of it is living in the present moment, staying present. And that means accepting yourself and others for who they are and just be peaceful with that. We are all connected. There is this fear in us that we don't want to look bad in front of others, but it's okay. We're all human. We're not perfect. You see it every day. So when you get to the point of joy by understanding we're all not perfect, then you can forgive yourself and forgive everybody else. But and that's why I tell people I'm a screw up. I've made many mistakes in my life. I'm not happy with the person I am all the time, even to this day. But you got to keep trying, and because I don't know what else is there if you don't keep trying to be positive, keep trying to go forward. What's the point at that point? Got to live in the moment.
I know for me, perfection is something that's very difficult. I definitely have tried in my life to pursue this sort of idea of perfection that I don't exactly know where it came from. I'm sure a little bit of TV, a little bit from my family. Is that something that you think about as a performer? I think we talk a lot about your big heart and the work that you do, and we'll talk a little more about that so your audience can find out more about how that's progressing in your career. But that pursuit of perfection, is that something that you apply to your career, to yourself as a performer? Is that something that you think that holds you down?
No. When I was younger, it was. Very jealous if somebody would share the stage with me, and if people thought they sound better than me, if the crowd thought they sound better than me, if I wasn't the best singer, that really bothered me. So very jealous, and trying to be, answering your question, a perfectionist then, more than being creative and just living and singing in the moment, right? Living, if you're going to be present, that means when you're singing, you have to be present. So if I'm here right now and I'm going to sing to you any Sinatra song, fly me to the moon, let me play amongst those stars. That's just fun having singing with it. When you say, I got to be perfect, I got to do this, I got to do that, perfect, 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 which none of us can be, then it just starts becoming fun. And that's what music, art, and all this creativity comes from, is from the soul, from your heart.
What would you say your favorite part of being a performer is?
Making people happy. Just now making people happy. Back in the day, it was more of getting the attention.
Being a performer, is that something? What age did you start? Can you tell me more a little bit about your performing and your progression as a performer?
Yeah, I started at the age of 29. I never thought I'd be a singer, anything. I didn't follow Sinatra's music when I was younger. The first time I heard Sinatra's music was in college, and fell in love with his music. One of my very good friends took us, his uncle took us to see Frank Sinatra at the United Center in 1993. Don Rickles opened, it was amazing. And that got me into Sinatra's music. Then I would just sing along to it, and people are like, "Hey, you kind of sound like him." And then when I started singing and then moving on in my career, I did because, you know, I started doing different voices. I started trying different voices. You know, Louis Armstrong, Dean Martin. I think Dean Martin was the first different voice I tried. And then now it's up to 20 some voices. But I never wanted to be a singer. I wanted to be a football player. I wasn't good enough. You know, the farthest I got to, I played in Germany, professionally in Germany. But I never, those guys in the NFL are so good. They'd beat the crap out of me back then, and obviously now too.
How did you discover all the voices that you did? Is that
Just
something
by
you
trying.
tried? You just tried it.
Just by trying. Yeah, just by trying. You know, like just you hear something like you hear Louis Armstrong. If you hear Louis Armstrong and you listen to What a Wonderful World and you listen to me, I'm so off. It's not funny. I mean, seriously, Louis.
I
When
don't think
he No, you got to listen. Like listen, because I people are like, oh, do you listen to your music? I'm like, absolutely not.
really close.
I've done like
Cool.
3 CDs, and I can't hear my own voice. I hate my own voice, and that's just like a lot of people say, oh my God, I hate hearing my voice on tape. So when I listen to Sinatra, I listen to the originals, and Louis Armstrong. If you listen to him, it's I can't get that same like I try to get that richness, but I can't, and so when you say how do I do it, I just really try to get as close as I can, but and that comes with the perfection part. Maybe that's where I try to be perfect, but when I hear it I go, no way, you're not even close. So just sing and try your best at it. Again, try your best.
So now with everything going on, obviously there's a lot going on right now. How has that affected your performances, and what are you working on now?
Well, I was doing holiday shows and Christmas shows at 3658, in Wrigleyville, right, part of Rizzo's Bar and Inn. And those went really well. We had a lot of fun. We had videos playing while the songs, obviously, as you know, were going on. And then we were going to do a, digital speakeasy by not far off of the river and Michigan Avenue there. And when COVID happened, that was put on hold. And right now, like most artists, singing a lot less than normal. We are doing, our senior homes where we're going to sing for seniors and everything, which has been great, and seeing smiles on people's faces really, has been wonderful. Virtual, for a wedding, I know I've done like that, a couple songs and stuff like that. And then you're going to be singing outside at the beer garden here, at RBI's, and doing a couple songs here and there and having some fun and just having like a patio type feel.
Nice. That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
So I know you sort of like glazed over it, but can you tell me more about the nursing homes? That sounds amazing. What are you doing there?
The nursing homes, the Chicago police was just a great idea. Say, hey, John, would you mind doing this? And at first with COVID, I was so fearful of going outside. For the first 3 weeks of COVID, I didn't even want to go outside. And then you hear about these elderly people in their rooms saying, I'm not, I don't know what to do. I'm stuck in here. And you're like, at some point you got to say, okay, I got to fight the fear in my brain, go out there and sing and try to make people happy, right? Because that's what I'm saying. So I have to, if you got to say it, you got to do it. So I did it, and it brought a lot of joy to me. I got a lot of joy out of it.
How do you find that balance between your OCD and going out there during COVID? Because there's a part of you that I'm sure has a little bit of turmoil making those steps towards being out in public and interacting with the community as you do your work with the nursing home.
At first, it was like very hard for me. Like I was very nervous going out there. The microphone, I'd spray it down with alcohol, and it was my microphone also that I was bringing there, so it wasn't like anybody else was touching it. But when COVID first came out, my OCD went through the roof. I was washing my hands probably 40 to 45 times a day, plus using hand sanitizer, plus using rubbing alcohol, cleaning down all the packages with alcohol wipes, everything. Everything that I touch have to be cleaned and re-cleaned. Everything just made me rethink my clothing. If I touched my clothing and the clothing touched another part, just made my mind freeze. So I probably had I had two breakdowns during COVID. One was really, really bad, and I just was crying, and I was just like curled up and just like, I'm done, man. I'm done. I don't want any part of this anymore. Nothing. And that crying really hard and everything, just man, sometimes it helps, and it just. And I said, okay, again, going back to the very simple thing: live in the moment. That's all you can do. You can't worry about tomorrow, because tomorrow's not guaranteed. Yesterday, it's gone. Yesterday, when it was here, was today. Tomorrow, if we're lucky enough to be here, it'll be today. It's always today. As comfortable it is, uncomfortable as it may be, it's always today and nothing else. So that made me understand that I can't be in control of everything. I can try my best to be, protect myself and others, wear a mask and wash my hands and do what they say. And what's going to happen is going to happen after that. But that's the thing I wanted to tell people when we talk about suicide and everything else, is that I think sometimes, it's hard to, like you said, how do you do it? When the first time I came out and I said, hey, I attempted suicide, it was not, it was very scary for me to be that vulnerable. And then, I just had to say, well, I got to be myself, I'm not perfect. And that's why I keep saying I've messed up many times in my life. But we all have, right? And that's what I just want other people to see, though, that when they beat themselves up, don't, because none of us are perfect, and it's okay. We all screw up. We all make mistakes, whatever. But we're all the same. We're all human. We all need each other. It's very hard right now, and life is very hard, even not during a pandemic, obviously. And life is very short. What do you want out of life? I like to see people happy, because if you think about it, if you don't see people happy around you, is that a fun life? No. And the funny thing is if you believe in God or you don't, you have to understand we all started in the same spot. So that means we're all relatives. All 7 billion of us and all 75 billion before us are all relatives. That means we're all family. That means that we're connected more than we know. We are so connected beyond the human mind. We are connected more than we know.
When I think of your podcast, I think that's what I think about the most, is that you strive to make connections with people. I think as a performer, as a singer, you're doing that through your voice, through your music, your ability to move a crowd into emotions. But you do that very well also when you speak to people. You're able to sort of pull out things from them that maybe they didn't even know were there, or just for whatever reason not acknowledging it. And I like that you talk about the present and staying in the present and letting go of control, because I think that part of the reason people aren't doing that is because of their inability to not be present and to let go of control, which that is one of my biggest things that I'm working on. And so again, when I think of your podcast, I think about that, creating connection. And would you say that is your goal with the podcast, or what would you say is the goal with your podcast?
That's the goal with the podcast. The goal with the podcast is to just be good news, just be positivity. So whoever comes on talks about what they want to talk about, that makes them feel good, that makes them want to live good, that makes them want to do things that, whatever, that drives people to just have that goodness come out. Because that's it. Like, I can't, the only thing I can say is the person who made it so simple for me that I wish I would love to get on this podcast. But he was, Oprah had him on and everything. And so I know I would love to get Eckhart Tolle on, the author of The Power of Now. That gentleman, I just would like to have him on, thank him for letting me see life differently and everything, and changing my life after I read that book about being so present in the present moment, that knowing that's all you have, and just accepting the present moment and being in the present moment. And you can do three things about a situation. You can leave it, change it, or accept it. And he just, I don't know, he made it so simple for me. And I listened to the book over and over again, that it just changed my whole perspective on life, on everything. It changed everything for me. It changed everything for me. It made my my insecurities, my everything just kind of be like, you just accept, and you just say, okay, it's okay. It's okay, man. You're human. It's okay. And that's all that's it. It just, right, you're right there.
I'm always trying to tell myself, just let go,
You-
and trust.
but it's hard, right? It's
It
hard
is.
because
It
I
is.
still,
Yeah.
I still don't live always in the present moment. I try to, but I don't totally live in the present moment because I still fear and still things like that. But then when I find myself getting back into the present moment, it just starts being funny, and then the music sounds better, and everything just feels better. And it's just because when your mind, like you see an animal walking down the street, a dog obviously walking down the street. You could take that dog down the street 10 times. Every time its tail could be wagging and happy and this and that and everything else. We're on our phones, we're thinking about something, we're doing this, we're doing that. When the water buffalo goes to the river to drink, it's not worrying about the crocodile. It knows the crocodile could be in there to get it, but it has to drink that water, and it's enjoying that water. As humans, we're like, wait, should I go drink that water? There's crocodiles in it. I don't know if I should drink it, but I need to drink it because if I don't drink it, I'm going to die. But I might die if I drink it. Instead of just sitting there and drinking the water and enjoying the moment, we're worried about everything else. Now, Eckhart Tolle talks about fear and the natural reaction of, obviously, if you see fire, you touching your hand, no, not to touch it because it's hot. But it's that fear that we have, that we live in, of worry about things that 99.9% of the times don't happen to us. Are we going to die one day? Absolutely. Could it be today? Yes. Could it be 50 years from now? Yeah. Could it be anywhere in between? Absolutely. It's going to be there. You have to accept that. The biggest fear, I think, for all of us is death. But if we fear death all the time, we don't live. The Dalai Lama said, what's the biggest, and I don't want to misquote him here, tragedy about humanity? It's that he said, man, he works all his life making all this money, sacrificing his health. Then when he gets older, he uses this money to recuperate his health. And what he really never did was live. And I don't know if I misquoted him there, but that's the essence of just, again, living presently. Jesus Christ says, don't worry about tomorrow. Today has enough troubles of its own, which really means don't worry, live in the moment.
That's great. Yeah, I think that we can all try to apply that as much as we can every day. And I think that your podcast is going to be a way for people to really immerse themselves in these other topics that maybe they neglect in their everyday, and not only through you, but through your guests. So I think that's really exciting.
Oh, thank you.
So where can we find your podcast? Where?
We will have it on Facebook. We will have it on Instagram. We will have it on my website, which is johnvincentlive.com. And then we will also have it on YouTube. And I believe the handle will be John Vincent Live, if I'm not mistaken. I might be mistaken with that, but that might be it. But with Melissa and Sam doing all this and putting this all together, people have complimented the artwork and the design and the setup. So I hope I can step up my game and be as good as they did setting this all up. So, and you, Allie, you've done an amazing job today. I mean, you're fantastic. So thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. You're always complimenting us. And
because compliments, that's what has to happen. I mean,
yeah.
I wasn't always a complimentary person. I wasn't, because I wasn't happy with me. When you become happy with you, then you can compliment other people and really mean it. When I was not happy with me, I wasn't really complimenting people, and I wasn't making people happy around me, you know. And I hated that person. But now I have to accept that that person was just a fearful, miserable person, and I wasn't fun to be around a lot of times. I hope a lot of times I was fun to be around, but that's the past, and all I can do now is try to be the best I can. That's it.
I think you're doing a great job.
So are you.
This is
So are you.
exciting. Well, thank you, John. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you, Allie.
gracing us with your voice and your positivity. And I think that any goal you put in front of you, you will get there uh, with a beaming light of the sun. Little.
Well, I think that I also want to say that thank you for being my creative manager. Thank you for all you do, and you are an amazing artist. Check out where can they check out your art?
So my name, Siklali.art, and my
Mhm.
name is Z is in zebra, I, T is in Tom, L is in Larry, A, L is in Larry, I. It's actually the Aztec word for star.
Oh,
So
that's awesome. You are a star. Check out her
John,
mural that she did. Check out her mural at Rizzo
this is
Garden.
all you.
She painted a beautiful mural. Maybe we could get a picture thrown up on this podcast about it and just show it. But thank you for everything. This was
Yeah.
great. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Melissa. You guys are awesome. Thank you.